News when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. There is your closing bell for this Monday on Wall Street, which experienced a sell-off across the board. Stocks, the dollar, longer-dated treasuries all fell this afternoon after President Trump rejected Fed Chair Jay Powell's interest rate policy. We do bring you closing numbers each day here at Bloomberg. The S&P 500 closed down 2.3%. NASDAQ down 2.5%. The Dow lost 972 points. That is about 2.5%. The 10-year Treasury yield at 4.41% and the 2-year yield at 3.76%. The Bloomberg Dollar Spot Index down about 0.9%. President Trump reiterated his call for interest rate cuts in a social media post, saying that with energy and food prices lower, he writes, quote, "There can be almost no inflation, but there can be a slowing of the economy," even though data show grocery prices are actually 2% higher than last year. Bloomberg Intelligence Chief Equity Strategist Gina Martin-Adams.
The fact that the dollar is falling when the S&P 500 is falling is a very rare thing, particularly when the S&P is this weak. To have the dollar also weakening is creating a lot of concern that broadly investors are losing a little bit of faith in the system itself.
Former Federal Reserve economist Claudia Sahm tells Bloomberg TV she takes the president's threat to fire Powell very seriously.
This administration has taken steps, whether it's with the tariffs or with downsizing the government, that really were beyond expectations. So the unthinkable is thinkable with this administration. So it is a risk to take seriously. But I do think when the administration sits down and studies the options, they'll come to the right conclusion that this really isn't the path they want to go down.
New Century Advisors chief economist Claudia Sahm on Bloomberg Open Interest. President Trump is meeting with major retailers at the White House to discuss the impact of sweeping tariffs on their businesses, including Walmart, Home Depot, Lowe's, and Target. Bloomberg's Jordan Fabian has more on those meetings.
We do know how angsty these companies are about the impact of tariffs on their businesses. And so, like foreign countries that have been coming here to Washington to try and negotiate relief, we're expecting these executives to at least ask for some measure of reprieve as well.
The discussion comes amid a 90-day pause in Trump's higher tariffs. As the Federal Reserve foresees a growth slowdown and President Trump blames the Fed if that happens, New York Republican Nicole Maliotakis tells Bloomberg News their tax package has to make it to the president's desk.
The most important thing that we can be doing is pass this very important tax package. There's a question right now around the world whether we can get the job done. I believe that we can and we must.
New York Republican Nicole Maliotakis. National Public Radio is reporting, based on a single source, that the White House has started a search for a new defense secretary. The White House denies it. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt posting on social media that it's just not true. Politico reports Republican U.S. Representative Don Bacon says Hegseth should go. Bacon is reportedly the first sitting GOP lawmaker to suggest Hegseth exit his post. Hegseth is under scrutiny for sharing confidential information in signal chat groups, including details about an imminent attack in Yemen and military strikes in Yemen with his wife and his brother. Pope Francis has died at the age of 88. The Vatican says he died of a stroke that put him into a coma and led to heart failure. Cardinal Timothy Dolan addressed the Pope's death at St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York during Mass this morning.
This holy sacrifice of the Mass this Easter Monday morning has a special fervor as beyond the sorrow, the sadness that we feel at the passing of our Holy Father, Pope Francis. We express our faith in the resurrection of Jesus.
The College of Cardinals will meet in conclave in about 2 weeks to elect Francis's successor. President Trump has ordered flags to be flown at half-staff. Google is squaring off against the Justice Department and dozens of state attorneys general in a Washington courtroom over changes that the judge could order to prevent Google from monopolizing the online search market. Bloomberg's Mike Shepard says the government's calling for some big changes.
One is that Google should sell off its Chrome browser. Another is that it should be licensing more data to its competitors. And then finally, it should stop making all those billions of dollars in payments to companies like Apple and others to guarantee a good position on those platforms for its search engine.
Mike Shepard speaking with Bloomberg's Caroline Hyde. A decision will likely come by August. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's purse containing $3,000 in cash was stolen over the weekend while she was out at a D.C. restaurant. The incident is under investigation by Secret Service. Surveillance footage shows a masked individual stealing the purse and then leaving the restaurant. Nome's government-issued phone was recovered, but officials believe the purse included sensitive items like her DHS official lapel pins, her passport, and her keys. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris. This is Bloomberg.